Like, I'm very aware of myself because I self-analyze a lot. It's a good thing. It's a gift and a curse. It's a good thing because it's nice to know your development, and you're always acknowledging stages of yourself, room for improvement, what you've gone through, and stuff. But sometimes it can become a bit excessive, and you can get things wrong. And when people want to tell you about yourself, which sometimes not necessarily is always true, but sometimes things can be true, and sometimes you feel like you know yourself so well that that isn't a part of you, but you don't really have a right to tell someone else how to feel or what their feelings are towards you, because that is what you're portraying to them. You can't see that. But we don't really like to hear negative. So it's like, I know myself, that's not me. But if that's how you feel about me, if that's how you feel I'm being to you, I have to apologize. And a lot of the times I would never take accountability for that stuff, because I'm like, who the hell are you? I know myself. That's not how I acted. That's not how I am to you. But I'm not in your body, so I don't know how I'm portraying myself to you. So how can I rob you of that feeling? I have no option but to apologize and acknowledge it. How I got over a lot of hurt in my life is because I acknowledge it. I think about it. I think about how I felt. I acknowledge my growth from that point. I acknowledge the things that I want for myself. I acknowledge the behaviors and what potentially those feelings have led me to, and I analyze situations. I do like a whole study of everything. You have to open up old wounds and really dissect each emotion, each feeling, and kind of connect the dots, because no matter what people want to say, our futures and our present and our futures really truly derive with how we deal with baggage from the past. So you're not really going to be able to maneuver forward unless you can really face old pain, past trauma. Because if you can't, and you think you can just forget about that and move forward, you're going to be taking an ounce of that, and it's going to be inflicted in your present, in every single little situation that you get in, and you wonder why this is not working. You wonder why you're frustrated. You wonder why you feel like you're going around in circles. You wonder why certain behaviors won't stop, and then you start to look at it as, why do I deserve this? And then you inflict more pain on yourself, because then it feeds into your self-esteem. Am I not good enough? What have I done to deserve this? You start blaspheming God. Why me? Why this? Everyone just becomes in this, like, men ain't, niggas ain't shit, this ain't shit, women are this, women are trash. Everything around you just becomes this world of hate, and it always looks like everyone's attacking you. But you don't know that you have been the one to kind of navigate all of that. You get what you put out. So if you put out these hidden feelings, when you feel so damaged, right, and you don't acknowledge that damage, and you think you can just maneuver in life, it is going to follow you like a bad stink. And people will be able to see through that, and you will be attracting everything that you don't want. And then when you attract what you don't want, you're going to be inflicting more pain and wondering why it's you, when you can't even acknowledge the pain before. So you end up having double trauma. So it's like not only what you're facing in your present, but the past that you don't want to face. So it's like you're blaming everything on the person that you are now, with acknowledging the changes that you should have made when you should have faced your past. Not everyone wants to face their past. Not everyone wants to go back in time and even think about half the stuff that went down, or ways that you were made to feel. But you have to. If you want a clear future and a blissful present, you really do have to acknowledge the past. You have to acknowledge pain, and you have to put it to rest. A lot of people don't like doing that, and it creates cycles of hurt people hurting people. But for me, it's never been a thing that I've always found hard, because I feel like some people can just really analyze themselves and dissect things, and some people just like to run away and act like it doesn't happen, and then they divulge in other behaviors. So sometimes a lot of times they divulge in sex. So to forget about a certain way that someone hurt them, or they don't want to ever think about that, they tend to act the opposite. And instead of being committed and being that person, you end up being everything that hurt you, and the person that you despise, that led you to that place, that led you to that hurt that you feel, you start inflicting that on people. And within doing that, it's dangerous, because you only ever inflict more pain on yourself. When you're running away from pain, you're only going to run into it every single ounce of the way. And a good example for me was because I was a product of my environment, so I saw what I saw. My problem is, even though I could say I was younger, I don't think it's an excuse, to be honest. I saw what I saw, and I never really acknowledged that would ever happen to me, with how my dad was, with how my mum was, with him. So every time I met a man, the attention that I lacked getting from my dad, it was when men showed me that attention, it was so easy to give all of me. Right? So I'll be giving all myself here, there, and everywhere. Ounce of Junior here, ounce of Junior there, ounce of Junior there. There'll be all these pieces, and I can't account for all these pieces of myself. So then you get to a certain point and you've given so much of yourself, you're exhausted, you're physically tired, you have nothing else to give, you have no more of yourself to give, you don't know yourself. You've given yourself and you can't account for any of that. You can't account for anything. And I've had no validation for all those people I gave myself to, and I was lost. I was at a place like, what the fuck? I don't have anything. And it made me feel worthless. And I felt like that was years of giving myself to people that weren't meant to be in my life, putting permanent emotions into people that was only in my life temporarily, and that were only meant to be there temporarily. And half of them weren't even meant to be there at all. But if I thought more of myself and I put more love into myself at a certain age, I wouldn't have run across those people. And even if I did, I would have been able to handle it differently, you know? My thing was rejection. My big thing was rejection. I never wanted to be rejected, because I grew up feeling rejected from my dad. So like, he would show me so much love. I think people don't understand. Growing up in an African household, tough love is a thing. And I think people need to understand that it's not a good thing either. Like, not being able to tell your child you love them. Always, it's like when you never get praised hardly for anything good, or it would be mediocre, like you done good. But as soon as something's not right, you don't get the food on time, you don't do this, you haven't done this, you haven't answered your phone on time, the repercussion of that would outweigh any good. There was never a balance. The anger was so much easier to be shown than the love. And that's, I feel like, a lot of people's problems. So the love that I lacked in being shown is what I chased. So anytime someone says something nice to me, it would be overkill. It'd be like, oh, more. He said I'm sexy. So someone saying I'm sexy, it was like, he said I'm sexy. Okay. And then suddenly, all of me, imagine, every person, all of me, you had to talk nice. You just had to say something nice. And you have all of me. You'd get all of Junior. You never had to work. You never had to work, because I was looking for validation. And that caused a lot of hurt. Now, I can say I was young. Yes, which I was. But I never acknowledged those things until I got to be an adult, because that's when I revisited it, and that's when I started making changes. So it's never, I feel like the earlier you can put in work on yourself and acknowledge when something is bad, and you keep seeing something happening over and over again, you're like, why the fuck does this keep happening to me? Why the fuck do I keep meeting people like this? Why the fuck do I keep feeling like this? Why the fuck are people allowing me to feel like this? I was so easy to be offended because I had no self-worth. It was given to everybody. I put self-worth, it was like, I was gonna do something, then I remember that my phone is my stand. This will be my self-worth. Anytime someone come, I'll be giving more. And now, more of me, more of me, more of me, more, 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 everything. Ooh, ow, more. That would be hurt. Someone would throw it back in my face. That would be rejection. More, more. You see this place? There's nothing on my windowsill now. And I'll be left with that. So then, when there was times that I needed to make myself feel better, the only vice that I knew was to go chase what I knew and keep chasing people that never gave me anything. Keep giving people time that never gave me anything. They never contributed to my life. No one ever contributed to building Junior. No one ever contributed to wanting to love me, because I never loved myself. And it's really important, because if you don't have a certain ounce of love for yourself, not only will no one be able to really love you, because you have no standards for yourself. You have no principles. You have no boundaries. You've given up everything to put into someone else's power. So what are you left with? So if you get used and knocked and slapped around, mentally abused, physically abused, it's because you've put all your worth into someone's power. No one who's powerful and strong, when you know yourself, there's no way that you would get yourself into a position like that. You won't. You won't. When you know your worth, you won't. You wouldn't even see this type of man, to be honest. This type of man wouldn't even approach you. Men like that don't do strong people. They do people where they see the weakness. They see your self-esteem low. They see it. They can smell it. And that's what happened to me. And when I really sat down and thought to myself, like, I need to change what's going on. And I sat down and I thought, I not only thought about the things that I could have done better, where I was going wrong, because it's easy to keep blaming people. It's so easy. I spent so much of my life like that. Like, oh, blame this person for this. Fuck him. Fuck this. I have to blame myself because I was the ultimate person that disrespected my own self. Like, I released that video on my channel where I was like, I was the ultimate fuckboy to myself. Before I can call anyone else a fuckboy, what the hell was I doing to myself to even allow it to make it easy for me to be fucked over like that? Constantly, one after the other, fucked over, used, taken for granted, taken advantage of, fucked over. What have I been given out for me to be? You think I've been a saint? Because you think if I was a sane person about my shit, with putting all the love I have into myself, you think I would be in that situation time and time again? No, you can only blame so much people, you know. You can only. So I had to sit down and think, where's all this derived from? And I noticed it was from my dad. And I noticed it was from the lack of love I felt for him, and me wanting to always want his approval. I feel that's what you're always doing. For me, personally, as an African, that's what I felt like I was doing. I felt like I always wanted to impress him. I didn't feel like, I never got that, oh my God, son, I'm so proud of you. I go, oh, good job, son. But when something was bad, oh my God, World War 800. On 1 trillion. But when you did something good, it was just brushed off. Yeah, you did a good job. So I felt like I always wanted that extra. So now when I'm out in this big open world, that extra, you can kind of, you know, join the dots. That's why I start making changes. I talk about my sexuality. I talk about my power. And I put everything that I put into everyone else's hand. And I rebuilt myself. I built myself from the ground up. And someone asked me on Instagram some really interesting questions like, how did you build yourself? How did you learn to love yourself? And how did you learn not to care? I'll dip into it and I'll make another video about it more. But I just started putting myself first. It was enough crying. It was enough putting myself down. It was enough feeling, I just felt worthless, like I had nothing to contribute. I just felt ugly. I felt unattractive. And I got sick and tired. Like, I just got sick and tired. There was no nothing. I was like, Junior, I've had enough. One day I was bashing myself up and I was like, Junior, you wanted to commit suicide twice. Imagine, twice. One, Both times because of how people have made you feel about you being you. And I was like, it's enough. It's enough. I'm not ever going to beat myself up again. I'm never going to be that person. I'm never, ever going to give anyone that power to make me feel like that ever again. Ever. Ever. So I started doing what I fucking wanted for myself. I started experiencing, I think that's when I first started cutting my hair. Then I started dyeing my hair. Then I started trying different clothes, different styles. I started doing things that made me happy. I started recording myself dancing. I was so engulfed in myself, and it was beautiful. I just did everything. So when I saw someone do something, I was like, oh, I want to try that. I could probably do it better as well. I'll do it too. I put so much love into myself, and me putting so much love into myself, I end up falling in love with myself. And when I fell in love with myself, it really made me appreciate what I've come from. I'm still a work in progress, you know, but the difference is if I have a shitty day now, I know that it's not a shitty week. I know it's not going to be the next shitty hour, and I know I haven't got a shitty life. I just feel shitty right now, and it's okay for me to feel shitty right now. Before, if I felt bad, I would be having suicidal thoughts. I wouldn't want to be here. I'd feel irrelevant. I would just be bashing myself. Like, I was my own, I would self-sabotage myself. I was the own killer for my self-esteem ultimately. Before anyone could kill my self-esteem, I was already doing it for myself. I was already doing it. So when I learned to put the past to bed, is because I allowed it to be what it was. Nothing more, nothing less. It's my past. I acknowledge it. I acknowledge everything that happened in it. And one thing that you need to learn, the biggest thing, is sometimes a lot of people can't move on because they need an apology. Sometimes you just need to accept in life that certain people will never be able to take acknowledgement for their actions, and you're never going to get that apology. So the best thing for you to do as a person is accept what it was, and that's what it is. Apologize to yourself. Move on. Move on. Don't allow your past to dictate your present or your future. Your future. Just embrace it. It was what it was. That was who I was. This is who I am now. But don't ever regret, because a lot of the time we always wish things didn't happen and stuff. But as bad as I've had it, and trust me, you guys, there's a lot that I would never say on camera. But as bad as I've had it, I would not change a thing, you know. I wouldn't. Because I wouldn't have had probably the opportunities I would have had. I probably wouldn't have had the life I would have. I probably wouldn't have met the people. I've met some amazing people. It's so easy to keep going on about the past and everything that's happened, but not acknowledging it and seeing the footsteps that it's probably led you to greater things. And sometimes you can be so stuck in the past that you can't even see the beauty around you. Use this time to see how fortunate you are, how amazing you are. And if you don't feel like that, start putting love into yourself to start feeling like that. Start learning how to fall in love with yourself by doing everything that you love doing. Live by love. Let love be your leader. If you don't love it, don't do it. I live by love. I do everything that I love when I want to do it and how I want to do it. I think celibacy definitely took that power back for me as well. I'm not someone that's had loads of sex. I've only had like 6 sexual partners, but it's just never been a thing for me. I always found solace in sex in meaning that that's what I just always thought that was the way that people showed you that they cared about you. But celibacy showed me different, you know. So I just feel like you should never allow that past to ever determine your future, because ultimately it can if you let it. A lot of people find complacency in past trauma, and I think that is really unfortunate. I don't like people that always use the past to make excuses for the future, because ultimately you are in control of your present. You are in control of right now. So if that's what you want to be using, you're being detrimental to your own self. Remember the power of the tongue. Remember the power of your fucking tongue. You want a beautiful future? Create it. You want a beautiful present? Create it. You determine what happens right now with you. Only you. What happened, happened. You can't go back to it. It can't. You can't. And why would you want to? It's done. So, are you going to let that ruin the rest of your life? You're going to let something that happened be the eyesore for every single situation that happens, and then every single thing that bad happens, oh, it's because that happened? No, it's not. It's you're allowing that to happen because you haven't faced it and put it to bed. When you put things to bed, as tough as if you need to go through your process of doing that, you have to go through your process of doing it. But once you do it, amazing. Like, you can just take things as they come. I don't see things that bad anymore. I have bad days. Like, I'm human. You need to realize that you're human. You're allowed to feel. You're allowed to cry. It doesn't make you any less weak. That's emotions that we're meant to be feeling. You have compassion. Have it. Love it. Engulf in it. It is what it is. That's what makes you you. Having emotions, having feelings isn't a bad thing. People act like it's fucking antichrist sometimes. It's amazing. Oh. But going back and recounting situations and not learning from it is a different... I can go back and talk about the past all day long because I don't take those situations and I put them to bed a long time ago. Like, I can see it. That's why I can do these story times and laugh. You think half people can do story times like the way I do them and find any joy in them? After the story time's finished, it's done. I'll go and eat. I'll carry on with my life like normal. Some people will be going on and on and on and on about it all day long. You need to learn to put things to bed. I will never allow what happened in the past to be my standing point for determining anything of my future. Never. Because the only person that had the power of my future is me, myself and I. And if I'm allowing that, then that's meaning I'm allowing people's actions to still affect me now. I won't do that. No one deserves to have that power over you. Why would you allow that someone to have that much power over how you think, how you love, how you move, how you navigate with your life? It's your life now. That happened. It happened. It happened. You can't do anything about it, but you can put it to bed. You can put it to bed and you can start your life over from right now and tomorrow and the next day. Fall in love with yourself. Appreciate yourself. Put that love into yourself that you've never had and that you've always wanted. You know? There's so much to come. And you're gonna do just great. So you guys, if you want a part 2 video of this or any more of these topics that I've mentioned, because you know when I talk I can't remember what I'm saying half the time. So if you want anything that I've said or there's something specific that you want me to talk more about, just put it down below. And I really hope that this helps someone. It gives someone clarity or something, because we can all have these story times and these sexy plays that you like, but we do have to have some of these serious talks because they're really needed, you know. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for your continued support. New subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to the family, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for your support. It's just, I just love you so much and for always being here for me. I care about you guys a lot. But yeah, enough of this soppy nonsense.